Hello everybody, it's Richard Seaman, and we just wanted to ask you a very profound question tonight, and that question is how many of you want to develop your intuition? I know you do. I'm Richard Seaman. I am the founder and director of Seattle Life Coach Training.
And I'm Candice Parisi, and I am a professional intuitive, and I have a website at travelingintuitive.com.
So welcome for all of you that are joining us. We're coming at you tonight from Phoenix, Arizona. I had to figure out where I was tonight, right? Sometimes I don't know where I'm at. We're just gonna...
No, just kidding.
So tonight we're just having an opportunity to hang out with you in my backyard, and we're in a balmy, like 85 degrees tonight from Phoenix, and we're going to be talking about your 6 pathways to developing your intuition. And so thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to supporting you tonight. So we're going to get right into it for those of you that are here. So I want to just get a little love from you. How many of you are here because you want to develop your intuition? So just give us a little love. Like, I know it's like not Periscope, but it kind of is like little love. How many of you want to develop your intuition? Yeah, that's good.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's good.
Intuitive development is exciting. Intuition is almost like having your own personal assistant when you're developing it and when you're moving forward in life. It's exciting. I'm glad that we're... Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hi, Ann. How you doing, honey? Welcome to my backyard.
Yeah. The pool.
Yeah, there you go. You want to take a sip? It's only 75 degrees
That's
tonight.
it.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the dog noises. Those are bringing us higher, our vibration higher and higher as we go through this.
As we'd say in any kind of hypnotherapy or visualization is, even the background noise will take you deeper and deeper, right?
Right. Whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever, the dogs. Okay.
So we're excited about having you here tonight, and we just wanted to get right into it tonight. And one of the things that we're going to be doing this evening is we're going to be doing some readings at the end of this night.
Yeah.
And you know, Candice is like the professional intuitive, and a lot of you know from my work at Seattle Life Coach Training and also at SWIHA that I am highly intuitive, and I use my intuition to guide me in every direction. And my success is a direct proportion to how I use my intuition in my life in every aspect. How is it for you, Candice, and how your success has been intuitionally guided?
I literally use my intuition every single day, all the time. I am in a constant state of waiting and seeing what the gut answer is, and then going for it. I think that uncertainty is exciting.
Yeah? Do you, huh?
Yeah, I
Okay,
do.
that's a new one. I just had a little side that, yeah. So she loves uncertainty.
I love it. I crave
Candice
it.
loves
I eat
uncertainty.
it up. I eat it
I
up.
love uncertainty, but I don't. I need a plan. And so I check in. When I need a plan, I check in with my intuition. Intuition guides me. What do you say about that?
Yeah, intuition absolutely guides me. And I think that in our lives, we need a guide. We need to feel like we're co-creating our life instead of sitting in a space of feeling like we're all alone. I think that that's a life that's less than what we could possibly have. When we're being guided, it's so much more exciting, and we show up to life in a whole new way where we're braver.
What I love about what you just said is that you said that this intuition's a guide. So imagine that if you knew you had a guide that's guiding you all the time.
Yeah.
And what the truth of it is that you do.
Yeah.
You do have, right?
Yeah,
you have
all the
this
time.
guide that works with you all the time, and it's inside of you. One of the things that I know from the work that I do at Seattle Life Coach Training and SLCTonline.com is that one of the things that we teach is that intuition is a way to support you, and it's this thing that always is nudging you. It's always there for you. It's always this thing that's available for you, and you just have to learn how to get quiet, which is, we're going to talk about that in a minute, about how we take these pathways so we can up level. And you say that your intuition is?
Your intuition is a muscle. And so the objective is to go to the gym every single day. If that is being quiet, if that's spending time with a teacher. And today we're going to learn about all the different ways, or some of the different ways, a lot of the most easiest ways to do just that, to build that muscle and to go to the intuitive gym.
Yep. Because it is an intuitional muscle, and we've got to learn how to develop that muscle in order to be able to, I guess, have a personal relationship with our intuitive guide.
Right.
And I feel like if we could all use our intuition, right?
Exactly.
Our life would be changed.
Oh my gosh.
How would it change?
You would show up to life in a braver way. You would, inside of making decisions, we have so many decisions that we make, like minuscule in decisions, and so many times we're swaying back and forth in the maybe of it. And so when you have a really strong intuition, you come from a really powerful place of just knowing what you should do next, knowing where to show up next in your life.
So one of the things I talk about with my coaches all around the world is that I say, you know that you know that you know that you know.
Yes.
So if you know that you know that you know that you know, and I know, and what I say is that that knowing is a crystal clear channel of clarity. And in that knowing, you just have a clear knowing. Like there's no drama, no chaos, no wondering. You just know and you just jump.
Yep.
You just jump into that, and that intuition always guides you to that perfect decision.
Yeah.
Right?
And the thing is with that is at the beginning, it's still scary. Like all of that sounds good, but when you're jumping for the first times, there's a feeling of like, oh, shit. Like, is this going to be the right way? Is this going to be, can I trust this? Is this my brain or my intuition talking? And so what's exciting about developing your intuition is you get confirmation in your life that you are making the right decisions. And it becomes stronger and stronger, and you understand your life more and more, and you start to trust.
Yeah. And I think that that's the part, is this, there a lot of people, and I'm sure a lot of you that are out there watching tonight would say that a lot of you are always battling, is this my intuition or is this my fear?
Right. Yeah, and I think that a lot of times your fear can mimic your intuition. And it's tricky at the beginning, but it's in continuing past that speed bump and continuing forward so that you can start to develop a stronger connection to it. At the begining of a relationship, you probably don't trust it if you're smart. And so it's the same thing with intuition, is it grows on you. You don't know. Like it could be a creep, who knows?
But the more you develop it, the more you realize that, oh, that's intuition. And one of the highest things I'd say is I would say that we know when intuition is with us when it's peaceful.
Yes.
Talk about that. Yeah,
when it just feels subtle, when it just feels like you're taking the right move. There's always question and sometimes anxiety in like making big decisions, especially when you're changing jobs or relationships or all these different things, but you can become your own intuitive guide. You can be your own vessel, and it's a quiet place, but it's a place that you revisit over and over again, so you know the difference between the two.
Yeah, because it's always peaceful.
Yeah.
I've never had a piece of intuition that has been chaotic or stressful or worryful. No. It's just not, that's not the case. No. There's just this knowing that you just know. And I think that, so let's get right into it, because I'm excited tonight. Are you excited?
I'm so excited.
So one of the things we want to talk about before we move into the 6 pathways to developing your intuition is that we are co-authoring, Candice teaches it, and we co-authored a course under SLCTonline.com called Developing Your Spiritual Gifts. And this is about learning how to develop your intuition and become an intuitive guide. Yeah. And Rodney, who is with us tonight over here in the grass, he is going to be linking all of these courses as we talk about them. And so you can join these classes whenever you want. And we want to link Candice's class tonight. And really help people understand that there is a way for you to develop your intuition on a self-paced program where you can just do it however you want. You can do it, you can barrel through it, but it's going to be dripped 1 week at a time, and then after the 5 weeks it's open, and you can revisit it anytime you want
for the rest of your life. And intuitive development is my passion and purpose, and so I put my entire heart into this course.
She did. And
because I've taught for 25 years now, I know what to start with and what to move into next, because I've seen people grow. I've seen people become intuitive guides. And so that's what's so exciting about this, is I get to work one-on-one with so many people who are so excited about this course in a way that they awaken to their own gifts, to something that everybody has, but it's a moment where you just know. And that's what's so exciting about this class to me, is that there's so facets of it. There's the one-on-one facet of it. There's audios, there's visuals, there's videos, there's all these different ways of learning, activities.
There's activities, there's assignments, and so it really supports you and to be able to develop your intuition and, more importantly, become an intuitive guide. And a lot of you know that I am the founder and director of Seattle Life Coach Training, and one of the things that I know a lot of my students say is, how do I use my intuition to coach? And the answer is that you pose it in a question. So we all have a knowing. We all hear that knowing, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so now it's a matter of how to take that intuition and put it into action by asking a question. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to move right into the 6 pathways to activating your intuition, and we're going to have a dialogue. And at the end of this conversation, we're going to have an opportunity to then do some readings tonight. So if you have some questions tonight, Candice and I are going to be able to bring them on. Okay?
We are very intuitive and excited about the end of our session today, and so we want to make sure that we walk through this with you. But at the end, we are so excited about answering questions.
We'll give you a demonstration of how we use our intuition in this work. And again, we're coming at it from Phoenix, Arizona. It's 85 degrees. And yeah, isn't that amazing?
It is amazing.
We had our feet in the pool earlier, and so here we go. You ready? Here we go. So the first pathway to activating your intuition is quieting the mind. So I'm going to read this to you, and then I'm going to have Candice teach us about it. Okay, so here we go. So quieting the mind is the first pathway, and it's this. The mind thinks and is always chattering internally, arguing with itself like a crazy person. That sounds like you. Intuition, on the other hand, is feeling a sense that you get that is peace, of clarity, and a knowing. And if you're not sure whether you're listening to your fearful mind or your trustworthy intuition, you need to learn how to differentiate between your thinking and your feeling. Your mind may always steer you away from your integrity, but your intuition will never steer you away. Be aware of how you feel when you're denying or out of alignment with your intuition. First is to learn what it feels like to be in alignment with your intuition, so you're able to sense your intuition more clearly. The guided meditation in these sections that Candice does is specifically designed to slow down your mind and help you differentiate between your mind's talk and your intuition. I invite you to listen. What she'll do is she'll invite you to listen to a meditation that will continue, the 3 of them, that will help you to develop your intuition, and they're very profound. So again, the first pathway is to quiet your mind. So Candice, let's just go ahead and talk about that. What would you talk about? Why is this such an important pathway?
I think that it's the most important pathway. I think when I first started working on my intuition when I was a teenager, the most important thing was for me to create a sacred space in my life and spend 5 minutes. I didn't have a high attention span back then, but I needed the 5 minutes that I just sat with myself and I went inside. And I did a visualization meditations to do that. And in the course, they're all visualization meditations. It's very good to do it in that way because it kind of tricks your mind into being a part of something that it doesn't want to be a part of at the beginning. And so it starts out with doing it 5 minutes every single day. And now it's moved into a routine where it's more of a couple hours early in the morning. And it's something that I routinely do every single day to develop my intuition and go to the gym. And so when people are working on their own, it's different for every single person. And some people can't sit and be quiet, but maybe they find quiet in going to the gym and running. Maybe they find quiet in doing yard work and gardening. Maybe they find quiet in going swimming. It's finding your own way.
To quiet your mind.
To quiet your mind, because your mind, its job is to solve problems.
Wow.
And so the problem solver is great for tying your shoes, buying a car, but it's different than intuition. And so it's in quieting the mind and turning up the level of your intuitive voice. Yeah.
So what do you say to people that say, because I'm going to tell you a little quick story. So I was visiting my family this weekend up north, and I have an amazing, an incredible nephew. And he said, I totally need to learn how to meditate, but I can't do it because I can't stop thinking.
Yeah.
And I know for a fact that most of you have this. So what would you say to that person?
Yeah, that's true. You'll never stop thinking. To the day you die, you're going to think. And so it's not about shutting off the thinking, it's about turning down the volume.
Tell us more about that.
And
That's
so
profound.
inside of sitting in meditation or doing a meditation that works for you, when you do that consistently as a routine, a personal sacred time for yourself, the volume of your mind starts to trust what's happening, and so it turns down, and then the volume of your intuition can turn up. And so everybody's intuitive, we just stop listening at some point. And we're all bad listeners. And so
But what are we listening for?
You're listening for this inner gut feeling. Like, do you ever, when you're ever out, do you ever like see somebody and you feel like, ooh, I don't want to be around that person?
You got to get a kind of a feeling about that.
There's a feeling
like
about
gut
it.
Knowing.
It's a gut knowing. And so you'll start to feel that gut knowing about who you are and what is supposed to be your next move and what's great for you. And it's kind of that same gut knowing. That's that empathy inside of yourself.
But how would you teach, as an intuitive and as someone that teaches these classes, Candice, how would you teach somebody to quiet their mind? Like, what would be the first thing they could do? Like a simple task, begin that muscle to go to the gym, right from their house or in their car.
The first thing that you would do is you would pop in headphones and do a visualization meditation. The first thing that you do is have your mind walk through a story that ends in you being closer to your intuition. And it's inside of training, like it's training an animal, your brain, to be more intuitive. And so visualization meditations, having them in your car on the way to work and also doing them sitting down in your own life, is, I think, the number one way to quickly train yourself into
So what if you don't have time to do an imagery exercise
Yeah.
or a visualization? Like, what could you do when you're driving to work?
You can say a mantra over and over again. You can sit and while you're driving, and you can be quiet inside yourself and see where, when you're sitting there, when your mind starts taking you on a ride, how can you sit still and be present? You're forced to be present in the car, you're screwed. And so it's inside of finding the present moment. What's around you? Looking around and having a visual experience of where you are brings everything into the moment. It's all about finding the moment and staying there.
I love that. And I would just add to that, quieting your mind is the first step, because you have to learn to stop the chatter.
Right.
And you can't be thinking about what you're going to do later or what you've already done. I always say in my classes that if you're in the past or in the future, you're hallucinating. And so let's stop hallucinating, right? Because really developing your intuition is right now, right here. And I think sometimes we'll get further into it, but I think it's about really like exercising that part of you and trusting, and maybe just taking it like, I can do this for 1 minute. 1 minute I can quiet my mind.
Oh, for sure.
I can stop thinking for 1 minute, and all we do is we go, I'm going to focus on that spot on the wall. And that's it. And if I start to feel or know in my knowing that I am thinking beyond what I'm supposed to be doing, you bring yourself back. That's it. It's that simple. You can't break it. You can't do it wrong.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. You can't do it wrong. You really can't do it wrong. All you need to do is show up. And that's the whole thing, is showing up to yourself, showing up to your intuition, and showing up to what you want in your life and how you want to create your own life. This is your opportunity. Intuitive development is your opportunity to be your own guide, to move forward in a co-creating way that is way more powerful than just working from your mindset.
And I feel like this is the most important time in our life right now, to be able to really listen to our intuition, because our world has never gotten louder, ever.
It's true.
And we need to sometimes just step to developing your intuition. So let's move on to the second pathway, which Candice is going to read, and then I'm going to talk a little about that.
All right, so slow down your life. Get away go on a retreat, take a sabbatical, or just spend a day in a new surrounding. That's like my favorite thing to do. When you're overly busy, it's hard to be sensitive to the quiet voices of intuition. Your schedule and see if your intuition pipes up. Our routines can get in the way sometimes. Find ways to take these moments to yourself. So how do you do that in your life?
So this is the biggest thing that I've done. So about 1.5 years ago, I realized that my life was moving very fast.
Yes.
Very fast.
Right.
And so I went out and bought an RV.
Because why not?
Why not, right?
Why not?
I went out and bought an RV. And that is a way, and I call it the being machine.
I love it. It's beautiful.
Right?
This RV is amazing.
Yeah.
It's like a house.
It's a house on wheels. But it's really about that I get to be. Because there's a difference between being and doing. And so to be is a state of mind.
Yes.
And you can choose your state of mind.
Yes.
And doing is what we are accustomed to do. In fact, Brene Brown, in her book Daring Greatly, says that we have glorified busy.
Yes.
And so it's so important that we stop doing that. And it's important that we slow down our life, because we've got to slow down to a point where we can stop the busyness, because busyness is movement. And I feel like to develop your intuition, especially as a beginner, you've got to be able to have a moment where you still yourself. And so what I do is usually in the mornings, I did this morning, I had a ton of things I had to do. I've been on vacation for the last few days, and I had a ton of things in the queue that I had to get done. And what I did is I literally heard my intuition tell me, drop to the floor and take 5 minutes and breathe.
I love that.
Like, and it sounds crazy.
Yeah, no, it's
but
not.
I literally sat in my office this morning, and I even talked to you this morning, and I literally, before I even got on the phone with you, I was like, just hit the floor and get an Indian style, and you're going to spend 5 minutes and you're going to just breathe.
Yep.
That's all I did. That's all I did was breathe. And just quieting down and stopping the busyness.
Yes.
Because, so I have a question for all of you. How many of you glorify busy? Right?
Yes.
And what's the first thing that people ask you when they meet you is, what do you do? And people put value on your doing, not your being.
Yep. Yeah, it's all, people are like, oh, I'm so busy, I can't talk right now. Or, oh my gosh, this week has been so crazy busy. And it isolates you, and almost like, it's almost like puts a filter between you and having to connect.
I've always said that your doing is a wall.
Right. You're right. That's some good shit.
Because if you can say, I'm busy, then it puts a wall between you and that person.
Yeah.
And you can also tell your intuition the same thing. Like, I'm too busy to listen. I'm too busy to take a breath.
I can't meditate. I'm too busy.
And so what if you said, I can? So what we're asking is that will you quiet your mind, and then you slow down your life by taking a few minutes to just be.
Yeah.
What if you, I mean, think about this. I mean, don't you owe that to yourself to just be? Like 5 minutes, people.
That's
5 minutes.
That's it.
That's it.
Really, and it's a life changer. I'm telling you from personal experience, it's a life changer.
I mean, you just did this. So Candice just like last week had this random moment, and I know she'll speak this out to you, but literally Candice is the traveling intuitive for a reason, and she literally like said, I'm getting out of here, I'm going to Sedona, and I'm like, what? She put her tent and her stuff in the back of her car, and she drove to Sedona, and she just like went on this adventure to quiet her life.
To quiet my life, because sometimes
slow it down.
You just have to slow it down and walk away. And you're not walking away from your life, you're walking towards yourself.
Wow.
And so that's the big thing, is sometimes we need to walk toward ourselves. And that's all about slowing down sometimes.
Slow down. So we've just hit the first 2 steps of the 6 pathways to developing your intuition. And number 1 is quieting the mind.
Yeah.
And number 2 is slow down your life. And so again, we're coming at you with this conversation from Candice Parisi's SLCT online class, Developing Your Intuition. So check it out on slctonline.com, and Rodney will go ahead, and it's an amazing class that you can go ahead and learn how to develop your intuition. So
also, him and I are super intuitive, and so while you're listening, write down a question you have, and at the end of this, we're going to answer your questions.
Yeah, you got a question?
We're on fire.
Yeah, we're on fire. And we love to help people to support them. We're here to help people. That's what we do. That's our whole life purpose, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So tonight, if you have a question at the end of this, we're going to be able to answer some of your questions. So write that down if it comes up, because intuitionally you know what you want to ask us. And we're going to use our intuition and support you in that conversation.
We love it.
So number 3, Candice, here we go.
All right,
so I got to put my cheaters on because someone told me today, a friend of mine, that I look like a very, very, very handsome older man. So obviously that means that
person is not your friend
whoever
anymore.
that person is, Carrie, I know who you are. And that took a moment, like, what do you mean older? But you know, she's handsome older man.
Handsome,
older man.
Older.
It's the gray, I guess. And then of course I cannot live with my glasses anymore.
You don't look old.
Okay, so number 3, the third way to develop your intuition with your pathway is this. So Candice is gonna speak to this in a moment. Okay. So practice presence with others.
Yes.
Being present with someone is the key to intuitive growth. Practicing paying close attention to people. See what information you can intuitively gather from observing people and feeling their energy before you talk to them or learning anything about them. The more you pay attention, the more you realize you already know things that you couldn't possibly know with the cognitive mind. We are all energy, and we all have a gut feeling. Start with how it feels to be around someone. See what you gather from being presently aware of other people, and you'll be amazed. So I know that in my life coach training programs at Seattle Life Coach Training that we talk about in one of the protocols about how we have to become present with our client first and foremost. And I call it about opening up or connecting and allowing that presence. And so it's about really practicing presence, and when we do that, we sort of allow our antenna to go as high as possible so we can pick up the information intuitively we need to hear. So what would you say about practicing presence with others with number 3 to activating your intuition?
So I think that presence is the most important part of being intuitive with somebody. I think that so many times we put people in boxes, or we put moments in boxes. When I'm being intuitive with somebody, this is like the first time ever. This is the first person I've ever seen, and this is the first experience. And so I come into everything in surprise, in the feeling of there's nothing that I am searching for or judging or trying to find. And so I just allow. And being present, when you're present, you know you're working from your intuition, because your mind can't be present. Your mind is working. It's figuring out how to do stuff. But when you're being present in the moment with somebody, I think it's the
biggest gift you can give.
Oh my God. It's like the biggest gift you can give to somebody.
A side note is that I saw something on my, I was just recently at home with my family, and on the bathroom, it says, why do you call, in Christmas we give gifts, which is presents.
Yeah.
And the best gift we can give is the gift of presence.
Exactly.
And it's a present, but it's a presence.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. And I think it's something that we avoid. We avoid that intimacy. We avoid that connection. We avoid it because it's scary and it's uncertain. And so being present with somebody is by far the biggest price point in being intuitive, because your life becomes a very one-pointed place where you know that in the moment you're at the right place at the right time.
But how does, Candice, being present activate your intuition?
So being present is the activation of intuition.
How?
And so when you are quieting the mind and slowing down your life, you'll find more and more that you're not thinking about yesterday and tomorrow. You're in the moment with your own life. And so that that creates a safe place for your intuition to come through you, for you to be able to be a great channel in your life.
But is it also that when you're present, you're not thinking about anything else?
Right. When you're present, there's no thinking at all, and if there is, you're not paying attention to it.
Right.
And that's what's so exciting about presence, is that, and you'll know the big difference. There's just a quiet, it's like being in nature, but being in nature, and you don't need to be in a meditative state in order to be present. You can be in a room full of chaos, but know how to stay grounded and still.
So that takes me to a mantra that I use all the time, and the mantra is, the center of who you are is indestructible.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
So the piece is that when we stay in our center, and nothing can knock us off balance.
Right.
Because we're in our core.
Yeah.
You know, we think about our bodies, that, you know, the center of our body is our core, and the more that we use this core body, it keeps us upright, it keeps us straight, it keeps our spine in line.
Yeah.
And I think that's the same thing that, you know, we look at chakras, the chakra, that's that most powerful chakra is that chakra in the center.
Yep.
So
That's where your
we've
power
got
comes
to
from.
stay in our center. And do you believe that
yeah.
moment when you get present with somebody, that you slow down your thinking,
Yes.
you slow down your life, and we all know that we know certain things.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And they know when you're not being present.
Yes.
Talk about that.
Yeah. I think that, you know, with certain, it's like spending time with somebody, but they're not paying attention to what you're saying. It's like you're talking to yourself. And so many times in our life, we're just kind of talking to ourselves, and the other person's just thinking about what they're going to say next. How powerful it is in those times where, like, somebody actually is with you, and you're having like a real intimate, present experience. That's life-changing. That's life-changing, and that's what intuitive develop allows.
And I feel like when you're present, you can then tap into what they need.
Yes.
You tap into that thing that they need the
healing
most
place,
in their
right.
moment, and you're able to go, I really know what you mean. And I think that the problem with the world right now is that we're so unpresent. We're so busy. And so why don't we just simply, so how would we do this? Like, what's the first step that someone could take that's developing their intuition to become and practice their presence with others?
Yeah, and so when you're with somebody, no matter what is going on with them, no matter how chaotic everything is for them, just stopping you, having no assumptions, and just being 100% with the person, almost like a mirror, almost like you're becoming them for a moment, and allowing them to express themselves or be themselves in complete openness, because you're not setting up boundaries with your own thinking. You're just creating a space. That's intimacy, and those are the best classes to go to. Those are the closest relationships in your life, is when you can feel safe and trust that you can be present with somebody, and it's not going to hurt you, or you're not going to.
But, you know, a lot of people are afraid of being present with others, because spiritually there is a presence says that intimacy is defined as into me. And so when you get into somebody, that's scary for a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, don't get in. Like, we're talking about that busy thing, like as a way to keep people out. Right.
Yep.
Another way to keep people out, and having, you know, derailing the gift of presence with others, is word walling. So people that like to talk, the more they talk, the more they're trying to keep you away, because if they can keep talking, they can be faster than you, then they can keep you out.
Yes.
And so I think that when you sit down with somebody, if you practice the gift of presence, for me, it's like you can do it at work, you can do it on the phone, you can do it in the grocery store, you can do it with your family, you can do it with your friends. And it's literally just sitting down and putting your phone down, turning the TV off.
Yeah.
That's my pet peeve. And really just being with the people you're with and sucking them up. And you said something earlier.
I like
You
that.
said stopping ourselves.
Yes.
So stopping yourself and stopping your crazy mind that's
Yeah.
constantly going and going and going. It's the monkey mind.
Yeah, and you're with you 24 hours a day. Like, give you a break. When somebody comes into your life, open yourself up to the experience of the other person. And that allows enrichment in your own life, and then you grow forward.
Right.
I think that we get so wrapped up that we just associate ourselves with people instead of being present with people. Yeah.
So the third pathway to activating your intuition is giving the gift of presence to other people. And it's really about giving, and I think that Oprah has the greatest quote. She says
She always does.
Yeah, she always does, right? So there's four things that she says that people want. Do you see me? Do you hear me?
Yes.
Do you believe me?
Yes.
And is what I'm saying to you matter?
Everybody wants to be seen, heard, loved, acknowledged. They want to be important. They want these things. And so we're all so busy trying to get it that we're not acknowledging each other.
But it's right in front of us.
Yeah, and the acknowledging it in other people is like giving it to yourself. We don't understand that when we're being wonderful
It's
for
the
other
greatest
people.
gift we can give to somebody.
Yeah, and it automatically
And it's
tenfold
free.
comes back to you. It's free, exactly.
Like I always say, like that breath that we have, like that breath that we take for granted is the greatest way to reset ourselves. It's the
Exactly.
greatest way to redesign ourselves. And it's free and it's available to every single person.
Yeah.
And so is the gift of presence. It doesn't cost you one penny. Nothing.
Zero.
So third step. So again, we're talking about Candice Parisi's Developing Your Spiritual Gifts class on SLCT online, and Rada linked that, which is an amazing class to help you develop your intuition. It's a 5-week course, and it's going to be dripped once a week. And Candice teaches it, and she does an amazing job. And she also will give you videos.
Yeah.
And she's very present on the class. Talking about presence.
Oh yeah.
And the students tell me all the time that she's so in there and she's
Yeah.
always on it,
Oh,
talking
absolutely.
to the students and helping them succeed.
Yeah, it's my whole passion in life is to intuitively develop people.
Yeah.
It's powerful, and I'm 100%.
And we know that if you have an intuition, we all have it. We just got to learn how to develop it.
Yeah, muscle.
Okay, so let's move on to the fourth pathway to developing your intuition.
Okay, I like this one. Play the guessing game without overthinking. Ask your intuition, what color will be the next car that drives past your house? How many petals are on the flower? What's the next ad that'll be on TV? What price is the dress that is on the rack? You get the idea. It's easier to play this game with someone else because your competitive instincts kick in. You can root each other on. What you're looking for is a hit rate of about 50-50.
Wow.
Yeah. There is that you want to be right more than half the time. This will help you learn a lot about trusting your intuition. You'll also gain insight on how guessing puts you in a childlike state. Now this is important. And of mind, and how important that innocence can be in developing your intuition. Just have fun with it. And enjoy the process of developing these skills. This is not something, it's important to take things in life seriously, right? But when we're kids, we intuitively do almost everything. Before we start connecting to, I'm this, and I'm supposed to do this, and I'm wrong for this, our minds are pretty quiet. And so our intuition is killing it. And so, we're playing constantly. All we want to do is play. All we want to do is experience this place. And so, the playing the guessing game and to having that experience for ourselves and doing it in this way puts us in a childlike space so that we can connect in a way that, like we used to, because we used to do it. So we used to do it a lot. And so, as an adult, we're important, right? And so we have all sorts of bills to pay. We can't be a child anymore. But this is a way of connecting to our intuition through being childlike, making childlike decisions in our life is still okay to do.
Yeah, and you know that it's amazing because there's a lot of things that come up for me when you talk about this.
Yeah.
So the first one is, and I know this might sound a little woo-woo, but you know, if you're watching, you're probably a little woo-woo.
Probably.
Yeah, probably. You think so?
Yeah.
Woo. Are you woo-woo? If you're
Are you
woo-woo, hit a
woo-woo?
little love on us, okay? Are you
We'll
woo-woo?
take a little woo-woo.
So, how many of you or know of when you're younger that you were connected to like the other side?
Oh, I
Like
that.
maybe the spirit realms.
Okay.
And I know for myself that was my story. Like I could see things.
Mm-hmm.
I could see things and I would notice things all the time. And my mom, I would say things like, there's this man standing at the end of the hall.
Oh.
Or I would sense or notice things. And and then I began to be told by my family that that's not real. But really it probably was real because
Probably.
I wasn't thinking in my cognitive brain. I wasn't overthinking. I wasn't
No.
overprocessing. And so in some random way, because you said, we are using our intuition even more than we would now as an adult when we're children. And the other piece that it brings,
Safer.
it's
Yeah.
way safer because we haven't been told enough.
Yeah.
We haven't been squashed down all
Yeah.
the time yet. But the bigger piece to this is that what if you said pretend and imagined? So when you pretend or imagine, and you can say this to yourself, part of this is when you play the guessing game, I'm going to pretend that I know the answer.
Right.
I'm going to imagine that I know the answer. And when you do that, you will know the answer.
Right.
It's amazing. Like, in a simple thing like, if you live on a street, you could say, the next car that drives down my road is going to be blue. Or the next car that drives down my road is going to be a Volkswagen. And just see how close you are. And you said in this, in your work and in SLCT Online, your Developing Spiritual Gifts class, that you want a hit rate of 50%.
Yeah.
So why is that important to have a 50% hit rate?
Because you want confirmation that you are going in the right direction. This game it seems like a silly thing to do.
No, I think it's great.
Yeah, but it's a way of you knowing the difference between what the confirmation of your intuition is and your mind.
Right.
When you get the answer wrong, you're connecting to your mind, and you start to see the difference between when you connect correctly and when you don't.
But the other piece to that is that I think that you can also, when you're in this process of playing the guessing game, is figuring out where your mental mind was
Right.
and what it was that shut it down.
Right. Because then we start second guessing yourself, especially when we're wrong once. We go,
Right.
oh, this isn't
See,
working.
and most people, and I've had this happen all the time, where
Yeah.
people say, oh, I'm not intuitive, I don't know how to use it. And it's because you had one moment where you were wrong.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, and we using my intuition, that I've been wrong numerous times.
Sure. Yeah.
But sometimes using intuition is a brainstorm. So, brainstorming with another person, or, playing this little game and literally just playing the guessing game is the fourth step to developing your intuition.
Yeah.
Because eventually you're going to start to develop, as Candice says, it's a muscle. You've got to develop that muscle. And it's the same process with your intuition. Your brain is a muscle. Your intuition is a muscle. Your focus is a muscle. Meditation is a muscle.
Yep.
And the more you do it, the easier it's going to be for you.
Absolutely.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. All
Okay.
right. So let's move on to
So tell
the
them
next
how,
one.
before we step into the fourth one,
the fifth one.
how can they find you, Candice?
So on travelingintuitive.com, I do private readings for people, and I also do group parties. But travelingintuitive.com is how you can reach me and how you can book time with me.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And for those of you that are interested in becoming a life coach, you can go to seattlelifecoachtraining.com, and you can do it either on campus in Seattle, which is going to be starting again January 26th. And we also have an online class now on SLCTonline.com. And check out both my class, which is to become a life coach, and also Candice's Developing Your Spiritual Gifts.
Awesome.
All right, so number 6 or number
Number
5. Are we number 5?
Okay, let's do number 5.
Perfect. All right. Number 5 in developing your spiritual pathways. I'm sorry, I'll start over. How about this? Because I'm not always perfect. Number 5 in your 6 pathways to activating your intuition is this. Number 5, find teachers. Like
Find
us.
teachers like us.
Like this one.
Like this one.
Like this one.
Like this.
Yeah. So we want to find teachers in our life, and so let's read what it says. And I don't think we've talked about this yet. This is directly coming from your course,
Oh, absolutely.
right? I mean, this
Yeah.
is a whole piece of the course that we teach.
This is a piece of the course, and along with this, there's an audio and how to do all of these things, and and you know, an area where you can connect to it and learn even deeper into what we're talking about right here.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, coming from Phoenix, Arizona, it's 85 degrees, people. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so there's a
85
beautiful
degrees.
pool.
See that behind us?
We're going to jump in after.
No, it's a little cold.
No,
It's
we won't,
75
yeah.
degrees. People from Washington, from Seattle, they'd be like, 75 degrees, that's nothing, right?
Yeah, yeah. This is like the perfect weather. Sometimes Phoenix sucks, but right now
We have one more week of it was 90 today.
Please.
And Candice came over today to do this, and she was like, oh my God.
Can I put my feet in your pool, please,
She
God?
did. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so number 5 is find teachers. So here we go. Having psychic and intuitive abilities should be about healing others. It is everyone's birthright when they inhabit their earth suit to also be equipped with the feature of intuition and spiritual gifts. These abilities are usually latent within us, or latent, excuse me, within us. You can be Latin too, I suppose.
Yeah, they're Latin in us.
They're latent in us. And you can develop your spiritual gifts when you seek to find teachers that resonate with you. Then show up to learn by taking classes in person or online, reading and trying and showing up to every opportunity that life presents you. Every person and encounter is a teacher. Your whole life is a classroom.
Yes.
So talk about that.
Yes. When I was 9, I had my first intuitive teacher. And from then on, I had teacher after teacher that taught.
Who was your greatest teacher?
Oh,
Your greatest teacher of intuition. Like it even me. And so what I'm gonna say to you is this. I think that they believe that we're talking about people, but I think there's people and there's other teachers in the world besides people.
oh yeah, there's experiences too. Like that's the big teacher.
Traveling.
Traveling. I lived in India and Africa. I lived all over the world. I had teachers that were great. I had teachers that sucked. I had.
And even those taught you something.
Yeah, they taught me not to suck.
Right. Or that's not who I want to be or how I want to operate.
Yeah,
right?
that's not what I want to do. And so there's people teachers. I lived in a tent in the woods for a year and just meditated. I went off the rails a little bit for about 12 years, and then I showed back up to life knowing that I was the teacher. So it takes a process of sometimes of teachers to come into our life. That teachers can be experiences. Sometimes we are in the same relationship over and over again, and that's our teacher. Our teacher is that we need to make new decisions. Sometimes we don't value ourselves, and that negative teacher is our teacher. Everything is our teacher. Life is a classroom. And so
Kelly just said that. Life's a classroom.
Awesome. Awesome, Kelly. Yeah. And so life is such an amazing classroom, and when you show up to life like that, everything teaches you, be it positive or negative. You can live a life that you're a constant student of growth.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that when we talk about being finding teachers to help you, the teachers come in so many different arenas.
Yeah.
Like you said, I think the biggest teacher that I had is books, because I know you're not gonna believe this, but I'm an introvert.
Yes.
I tend to be, someone that likes to go internal, and I'm also a Scorpio, so that makes me like super secretive, and I like to go into my little corner, and I like to learn these things myself. And so books were the first thing that were my teachers, right? So authors like Marianne Williamson was a big teacher for me. The Course in Miracles is a big teacher for me. And what was weird about this is that I knew, like some of the stuff I'd read in these books, I already had this knowing that I already knew.
Yeah.
Like I knew.
Like it resonated with who you were to begin with before you even got there.
Yeah, like, so maybe there is a past life. I don't know.
Yeah.
So that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah,
right?
that's a whole new day.
But the conversation really is about life is a classroom, and that we've got to get that it's full of opportunities and people that are going to teach us things.
So how did you know when you were the teacher?
Wow. Well, I think that for me, I knew I was a teacher because people came to me all the time because they bring me their issues, or they would come to me for counsel or to consult with them or for a brainstorm or a thought, and people just intuitively would come to me, and maybe it's because I have the gift of presence.
Yes, you do.
I really do. Like, I have the gift of presence, and I think that people really love the gift of presence, and because I was so present with them, they would trust me.
Yes.
And then I became a teacher.
Yes.
So I know that so many people, you know, and I feel like, you know, finding teachers, again, is going back to, you know, whatever you resonate with. So what would you say is a way to know that's your teacher?
It's a gut feeling. It's just like knowing if you're in the right relationship. And the thing is that some teachers are supposed to be in your life for 20 minutes. And some teachers are there for 20 years. You got to know when to fold them. You got to know when you got to know when you've
when to fold them.
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers.
You got to know when you've surpassed the teacher. And if you are on a path of self-discovery and on a journey, you'll surpass the teacher. You'll almost always surpass the teacher. And so then it's moving into where you are next. But sometimes people will just stop at the first teacher, or they'll stop at the first book, or they'll stop at the first experience.
And that brings me to, you know, and this is A Course in Miracles, because again, I said to you earlier that Course in Miracles is one of my greatest teachers. And I think there's so many profound things from that book, because it is an amazing teacher. And the greatest one, I mean, there's 1,000 of them, but one of them is this, that every relationship is a classroom.
Yes.
Which really means that every relationship is a teacher.
Yes.
And sometimes that classroom that we're in and that teacher we're with, that relationship, sometimes you just want to like withdraw from the class,
yes.
right?
Yeah. You wanna get your money back. Sometimes
Anyone
you
else
go,
know this? We're talking
if
get
you
my
do.
money back. Like, I'm withdrawing from this class. I've signed up for this class, but I'm not sure I want to be in this class anymore. Right?
And if you're following your gut, you'll know when to say no and withdraw. Yeah, and so that's what it's all about.
So, you know, the bottom line to this is that everything around you is a teacher.
Yeah.
So we say the fifth pathway to activating your intuition is find teachers, and they're everywhere. Everywhere.
Yes.
Right?
All right, let's go to 6. But before we go to 6, everybody, if you are,
that's right,
be open to writing down questions.
Oh yeah.
So that because after we do number 6,
who's writing down questions? Give us some love if you are going to write down a question.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk to you, because I'm going to use my intuition for you. So how many of you are writing those questions down so we're ready to roll?
Yeah.
Okay.
Perfect. And so when we're done with number 6, then we'll go right into your questions. So make sure that you put them out there for us. All right, number 6. We're ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Final one. Self-intuitive readings. Okay.
Yeah.
Get a piece of paper and a pen. What does my life need right now? My life needs those dogs to stop barking.
My neighbor's dogs like to bark. Anyone else have that?
Oh, God. Okay. Sit with this question in your heart for a full minute and just allow your question to be filled with neutral space and inner silence. Pick up your pen and draw or write without thinking. Automatic writing. Just let whatever it is in your heart out onto the paper. When you're completely done, when you get comfortable with getting inner answers, ask more questions about yourself. Grow an intimate relationship with your intuition and realize how connecting to it can change your life. So how does being your own intuitive guide and doing your self-intuitive readings, how does that look for you? How do you do that?
Well, you know, in what we talk about in the Developing Spiritual Gap class and SLCT online, we talk about, you know, getting a piece of paper and writing down, you know, what do I need in my life right now, and then allowing like what we call automatic writing to happen. And so it's like, you know, letting your hand just sort of, you know, or whatever, the spirit or an angel or channel through you. And that's probably not my way.
Okay, what's your way?
So I think my way is, I like to usually do something.
Okay.
So I'm a mover. So I think, this might sound random, but I love to cook. So when I'm in the kitchen cooking, like I hear things all the time that I need to do when I'm in the middle of cooking. and I don't know what it is. It might be that I'm touching the food, or I'm moving my energy, or I'm being creative, or whatever, like an intuitive chef almost. That's one way. The other way is the pool behind me.
Okay.
You know, I put this very expensive pool in my yard because that one back there, I put that in because when I swim laps, I get messages. I remember when I was a kid, we had a pool also, and I used to do this thing where I would jump in the deep end, up and down, and go up, take a breath, and go down, and go up, take a breath, and go down, and that was like a meditation for me.
Oh, I love that.
When I was a kid, I used to ride horses, and I would get on the horse, and I'd ride my horse, and I would get downloads. I think reading, sometimes I like write different readings, like teachers, like different readings that I do, and during the readings I get information, or sometimes I'll be asking a question, or I'll be in conflict of something, or I'll have a dream about something, and I'll pick up that perfect book and open up that perfect chapter, and it's exactly what I need to know. So it's a multitude of things. Or I'll just be hanging out with somebody, or I'll meet someone that I never met before, and they'll give me that exact message that I need to know.
Yes.
So I think
you
it's
get it
about
from all sorts of places.
Oh, I mean, it just goes on and on.
It's downloads all over the place.
Constantly.
I love that.
How do you do it?
You know, I think it's kind of the same. I think that I get a lot of my self-intuitive readings in the moment when I'm by myself early in the morning. Is
that why you get up so early?
Yeah, I get up at 3:45 in the morning and do yoga and meditate every single day, no matter what. And it's my time to sit with my own intuition and listen. And sometimes, even when we're working on our intuition, we don't know how to listen. And so I just sit very quietly, and I've come to a place now where it's an open door, and it's just love and information and you know, different things that are important for my life and important for me to know, just comes in, and I have a personal experience with that. So that's usually how it goes. Other ways is when I'm traveling and I'm in new spaces and I'm off my kilter and of my life, and I can tap into my life. Like, life talks to me when I travel. Life talks to me in a different way where it's not familiar, and so it's more spontaneous, and I have a different experience.
And I feel like one of the things I want to address in that is that, you know, there's a philosophy in the world that we're looking for the answer, and the answer is outside of us. But really, the truth is the answer is never outside of us. It's always within us.
Yeah.
And we've got to learn to be able to go deep within ourselves and find the answer, and to know. And even with the work that I do at Seattle Life Coach Training, I teach my students all the time that we teach our clients to go deep within themselves to find their own answers. And that's the truth, that they know that they know that they know, but we have to draw them out with our powerful questions.
Right.
And so what if we were to become our own coach?
Exactly. And what if we would become our own intuitive guide? And that's what's so exciting about this open enrollment 5-week course.
Right.
Developing your spiritual gifts, becoming your own intuitive guide. Sometimes we just need direction. Sometimes we just need a door that opens for us, and for us to be a part of a community or a tribe that propels us forward into our own intuitive growth. That's what this course allows. This course allows a community of people to come together and create a new sense in their own life that propels them forward.
It's about, you know, really learning how to trust yourself.
Yeah.
Because I'm going to say this to you all, you know, you got one person that you can count on really in your whole life.
Yeah.
It's you. And God, universe, spirit, gave you your intuition for a reason. It is your navigational GPS system, and you need to learn how to use it.
Exactly.
Because in the end, if you're lost in the middle of nowhere and there's nobody left, you got to trust your own intuition. So I think becoming your own coach, your own intuitive guide, and doing your own intuitive readings on yourself is so important to be able to develop your intuition and to become your own intuitive guide.
Yeah.
So we just gave you the 6 pathways to activate your intuition.
Yeah.
And hopefully, as you saw, Rodney was able to put those out there for you. And again, this came directly from our course, Developing Your Spiritual Gifts. learning how to develop your intuition and become an intuitive guide on slctonline.com. And it's a 5-week course. It's open enrollment. You're welcome to join. It's a 5-week drip, and then after the 5 weeks, it's wide open.
Yeah.
And you can go back anytime you want to. So we asked you earlier that if you...
and one more thing.
Yeah.
Everybody who's watches
Oh,
tonight
yeah.
gets 10% off the course.
10.
And so when you go into the course, www.slctonline.com.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like $30 off, and you just put in the promo code
TEN. Like 10.
and you get 10% off. But
10%
it's only
off.
until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Yeah, and we haven't
So you
put the
gotta
coupon
jump on
code
it.
in yet, so give us a little bit.
Give us a second.
Give us a minute, as Lori Bischoff would say. Give it a minute.
Give it a minute.
Yeah, give it a minute. And we're going to get that for you. So the bottom line is that, we want to support you, we want to help you, and help you develop your intuition. Again, Richard Seaman, Seattle Life Coach Training.
Candice Parisi at travelingintuitive.com.
So what questions do you have? Because we want to support you now with your questions that you may have tonight about your own life. And so Kate says, any insight on a topic I should give a 5-minute talk on for an interview this Friday? What's the interview about, Kate? I don't know what the interview is about, so you're going to have to tell me. Anne asks, we all have areas of weakness, and I can't see it, darling. Okay,
we all have areas of weakness or needs improvement. Which one of mine do I most need to focus on improving? That's Anne.
Courage. I think, Anne, knowing you, sweetie, that your job is to find the courage. I know you have courage, and I've seen your courage so much.
Yes, you do.
But I would say to you that the bottom line to this is you've got to be able to step into this courage and just leap at times. I think sometimes you backpedal a lot and you wonder, am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right? And then you also go back to your old stuff and you forget who you really are, because you are a powerhouse. And you remember we talked about this, that whole turtling thing. And that turtling thing is fabulous and it supported you. But at this point, a turtle is, you need to become a turtle in the sea, because they rock.
Oh, I like that.
Right?
Yeah.
They swim all over the whole world.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Good. Okay, let's see. Let me see if we have any other questions.
So Kate says, a job interview in childhood field.
Kate.
You met her.
Good. Okay, I know who Kate is. Hi, Kate. So you have a job interview in the early childhood field. Okay, so it shows up that there's two job interviews in there. They show up to me as offering you that job, but just make sure that when you go into it, you're asking for the amount of money that you're looking for. I think that there's some sort of downgrade in the amount of money involved in you taking this job. So when you go in, they'll give you the amount of money you want. Just ask them.
So we only have a few more minutes because it's 8 o'clock.
Okay,
Can you believe that we went a whole hour and talked? So I got one.
Okay.
So Ellen, who I love to death. Hi, Ellen, my dear. She's got a question. She says, I know that I'm right where I'm supposed to